Part 115. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1155. Chapter 1134. The disciples divide the treasures. Su Junming waved his hand, and porcelain bottles flew into everyone's hands, and almost everyone had a share. These elixirs are given to you. When you use them, ask your master for them. With a quick grasp, hundreds of magical artifacts were formed in an instant, including nearly 100 Deluo Lingbao and thousands of Tai Lingbao. For Su Junming, who has advanced to the realm of Hongmeng in the Dao of creation, Deluo Lingbao and Tai Lingbao do not need spiritual materials to practice at all. They can be created in an instant with enough spiritual energy just by thinking. However, this astonishing scene shook the eyes of all Chongshan disciples present. In an instant, thousands of spiritual treasures appeared. What kind of magical power is this? With a thought in his heart, all the spiritual treasures flew into the hands of the disciples. Everyone had a share, and they discovered that the spiritual treasure given to them happened to be one level higher than their own cultivation level. This is amazing. No, it should be shocking. After calming down everyone with the soul-shaking sound that penetrated directly into the soul. In addition, every 100 years from now on, you 7 uncles and I will preach here for 3 years. You will come here to listen to the lectures according to your own path. Okay, that's all I have to say. Except for the second generation disciples, everyone else should go down. All the disciples stood up one after another and walked out happily. With elixirs, magic weapons, and sermons, this is a great opportunity. Soon, only 8 Su Junming and 18 second-generation disciples were left in the empty hall. Although I wonder why my master and uncles look at me with strange joy and memories, because the elders are all here, they don't dare to ask more questions. Su Junming flicked his finger, and a spiritual light flew into Sun Er's hand. A bang sound sounded in his heart. It was as if the tight steel wire had been cut, his soul was clear, and his mind was instantly clearer several times. Since practicing Taoism, he had never felt that moment as relaxed and comfortable as now. Seeing this, Su Junming smiled faintly. His finger directly severed all the causal connections between Sun Er and the six-eared macaque. From today on, he is just Sun Er of Chongshan Academy, no longer the six-eared macaque, one of the 4 monkeys in the world. Thank you, uncle. Although he didn't quite know what was happening to him, the benefits were definitely visible to the naked eye. After nodding slightly, he glanced at Taoist Tiangong. The latter understood, and spread out his left palm. The size of 18 jujube pits shimmered with 9-color aura, and liquid droplets containing infinite creation emerged. It is the Hongmeng creation spiritual water formed by the spiritual roots of the chaos green lotus. Every drop is a supreme treasure. Although Qin Zhong and others are not high in cultivation, they can still feel the extremely rich spiritual energy of creation in these 18 drops of 9-color liquid. Taoist Tiangong raised his hand, and 18 drops of spiritual liquid accurately flew into everyone's bodies. The tyrannical spiritual power of creation dispersed, and everyone's bodies and souls began to undergo all-round transformation. Looking at the disciples who were completely immersed in the great changes in their inner bodies. With the help of this Hongmeng creation spirit liquid, although they cannot become Taishuanate gods, they can still achieve it at the Tai level, Ren Wuji said. Qin Zhong, Qiao Shaoxin, and Yan Chixia are indeed like this. However, Su Huang, Sun Shi, Sun Er, and Su Heshu are different. If they have 3 or 4 drops, they will definitely be able to advance to the innate gods of the beginning, Su De said. Lao Chi's chaos green lotus appeared at the right time. Without it, most of these little guys would not have the hope of Hongmeng. Now, they at least have a chance, Chen Xianzang said. When the 9th grade green lotus and the 12th grade golden lotus are combined, and the 36th grade chaotic green lotus returns to its original appearance, the effect of Hongmen's creation spiritual water will be stronger than it is now. With this spiritual water, their shortcomings in qualifications can basically be overcome. Make up for it, but whether they can advance to Hongmen in the end depends on their luck, Ao Tian said. Everyone nodded. The Hongmeng realm has two high requirements for qualifications and understanding. Even the great god Pangu died under the combined forces of the rolling thunder and 3,000 gods and demons, let alone them. Of course, great god Pangu chose the most difficult path to advance to Hongmeng, and the risk was inherently high. The vast majority of people just choose the conventional path to achieve Hongmeng through law, which is much easier than Pangu. Even if it is easy, it is still out of reach for most people who have cultivated to the level of Hunyuan Golden Immortal. Su Junming owns the body of the Dian Divine Mirror, and has also comprehended the main Taoist method to reach the realm of Hongmeng. He is very clear about the difficulty of comprehending a path to Hongmeng. If the difficulty of going from Qi refining to the perfection of Hunyuan Golden Immortal is 1, then the difficulty of going from Hunyuan Golden Immortal to Hongmeng Shangzun is 100. Too bad. The further you go on the path of cultivation, the difference between each level is the difference between heaven and earth. Even though Su Junming has now perfected martial arts and Qi refining, and even reached the Hongmeng realm in Taoism, he still does not dare to overcome the tribulation. Because his final calamity of Hunyuan was not 81, but 124. Before his natal spiritual treasure advanced to Hongmeng, he would never go through the tribulation unless he was in a desperate situation. The risk of falling is too great. It will take some time for them to digest this drop of the spiritual water of creation. Let's wait, Su Junming said. Everyone nodded and said no more. About half a year later, everyone came over one by one. At this time, we can see the level of everyone's qualifications and magic power. Su Hesh, who had the best qualifications and was the first to wake up. Su Huang not only has good qualifications, but also has the highest level of cultivation among everyone, and is the second to be sober. The last one to wake up was Qin Zhong. This is normal. The reason why Su Junming accepted him as his disciple was because he admired his amazing perseverance. As for qualifications, they are only average. Although Su Junming has been practicing for many years and has repeatedly improved his skills with the creation of spiritual objects, he still has the worst qualifications and understanding among the disciples. If martial arts didn't have high requirements for understanding, he would never have the chance to become a martial arts god. You have all experienced the efficacy of this Hongmeng creation spiritual water. This is the divine artifact owned by your seventh uncle. Each of you has 9 drops. This is the first drop. Come back 100 years later to receive the second drop. 9 is the ultimate number. 9 drops of Hongmen's creation spiritual water are poured down. Although this water is still useful, the effect is not as great as the previous 9 drops. Although Su Junming felt indebted to these disciples, he could not waste treasures like this. Disciple, I obey, and I would like to thank Uncle Seventh Master for the treasure. All the disciples cheered up. This is really a great opportunity. The treasures and elixirs were also given, and the opportunity was given. The next step was the time for master and disciple to connect emotionally. After all, for Su Junming and others, the two sides have not seen each other for more than a dozen yuan hui. They are all disciples who have devoted a lot and worked hard to teach them. Of course they have deep feelings. While they were teaching their disciples, undercurrents were also surging inside and outside the ancient world. Junior brother Zhang, junior brother Shen, this is the cave for you two from now on. There are peach, plum, and apricot trees 3 miles outside the cave, which bear fruit all year round. You two can pick them to satisfy your hunger. As for practice, you come to the Dharma teaching hall in 7 days. I will pass down the Yugzu Sutra and guide you two in your practice. Zhangzia and Shen Gongbeo quickly bowed and saluted. Thank you, senior brother. Guangchenzi smiled and waved his hand. If you need anything, Go to Daowen Mountain to find me. Daowen Mountain is Guangqinzi's cave in Kunlun. Except for Daowen Cave in Juxian Mountain, he has lived here since he came to Kunlun. Yes. After the two nodded, Guangqinzi turned and left. Without returning to Daowen Cave, he urged Dun Guang to come to Yugzu Palace and bowed to salute. Guangqinzi asks to see the teacher. Come in. Step inside. In the Yugzu Palace, surrounded by clouds and fog, with endless rays of light rising above, Yuanqi Tianzun sat high on the throne. Disciple Guangcheng pays homage to the teacher. No need to be polite, can Zhangzia and Shen Gongbao make arrangements? It has been arranged according to the teacher's instructions. You are responsible for the teachings of these two people. Yes. Okay, let's get down. Disciple resigns. Etc. Guangqinzi, who had just left, quickly turned around. Immeasurable calamities are about to happen. Don't go out of the mountain unless you have something to do. As commanded. Yuanqi Tianzun waved his hand, and then Guangqinzi turned and left. Looking at his retreating figure, after a moment the clouds and mist around Yugzu Palace seemed to come to life, quickly covering the surrounding area. The figures of Taizhang and Tongtian emerged. Everything is as Su Junming said. Those who can confer gods and those who lead disasters all worship under the sect of Chan Tongtian's side. Yuanqi Tianzun's expression was gloomy. He had always been arrogant, so it was strange that he felt better after being plotted like this. Suddenly, a powerful wave shook the Kunlun mountain formation. Sanking looked at each other, and the figures of Taizhang and Tongtian quickly disappeared. Yuanqi Tianzun made a hand seal, and a stream of light flew in. The spiritual light faded, revealing a roll of cloth with a powerful aura, and a wooden whip 3 feet, 6 inches long, with 21 sections, each section having 4 talismans, for a total of 84 talismans. It is the God List and the God Whip. After opening it, Hung Jun's phantom emerged. Yuanqi got off the platform with a calm expression and greeted him respectfully. Disciple Yuking, please see the teacher. Yuanqi, the person who conferred the title of God has joined your section. It is up to you to take charge of the list of conferred gods and the whip of the gods. Disciple, obey. Hung Jun smiled and nodded. Among the Yuanqi, you are the most talented, and you are still above the Supreme and Tongtian. You obey the will of the heavens and explain the secrets of the heavens. It is very good. Thank you for the compliment, teacher. Don't disappoint me. Yes. Hung Jun's figure slowly disappeared, and after a while Taizhang and Tongtian reappeared from the surrounding clouds and mist. The three of them were silent as they stared at the list of gods and the whip in mid-air. Everything was calculated by Su Junming. At this point, the luck in Sanking's heart had completely disappeared. Hey, taking let out a long breath. Second brother, third brother, now that the matter is over, we should abandon all illusions, learn more about the 3 talents gods and demons formation, and prepare for the final battle. Yuanqi Tianzun and Tongtian cult leader nodded. Eldest brother, second brother, I'll go back to Jinao Island and take charge. If we don't make the scene more real, I'm afraid those two Hung Jun and Dongfang won't be fooled. After pondering for a moment, the Supreme Being nodded. There are many disciples of Ji Xiao. If the third brother does not show up for a long time, it will inevitably reveal flaws. However, be extremely careful when you go. If anything happens, you must contact us in time. Brother, don't worry, I'm awake. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1156. Under the Bodhi tree in Mount Sumeru, Ji Yin and Zunti sat cross-legged. Senior brother, the teacher asked us to take action to ruin the fate of the Shang dynasty. We really don't know how to take action. Junior brother, why are you so confused? In time, mortals are sensual and lustful, and their desires are rampant. The Emperor and Zhou are kings, but they can't get rid of the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Zunti suddenly realized, senior brother still has a way. With a thought in his heart, he separated into an incarnation and went straight into the eastern wasteland. The saint's magic power was endless and his escape speed was astonishing. He soon arrived at Kaoj. Just as he was about to fall, he was suddenly blocked by a stream of merit energy. Looking around, a magnificent palace under the clouds came into view. The 3 words Mother's Palace on the plaque of the palace shine brightly. With a thought in his heart, Zunti flew down. With his saintly powers, of course no one could see it. Stepping in, the main hall is vast. In the innermost altar, a clay statue of Nuwa stands proudly. The throne of the human race's Virgin Mother Nuwa. 10 eclipse texts with bright spiritual light shine brightly. Below, dozens of faithful men and women bowed sincerely. Looking at Nuwa, Zunti suddenly thought of Su Junming, who had become a Taoist couple with her, and even more of the humiliating defeat in the chaos. Gazing at the majestic but beautiful face of Nuwa Empress. Junior sister, senior brother don't want to, but who made you become a Taoist couple with that guy who is not a son of a man? After a brief deduction, he waved the 7 treasures tree in his hand, and a mysterious spiritual light enveloped the entire Notre Dame temple. Zunti sat cross-legged, quietly waiting for the target to come. Everything that happened next was as written in the list of gods. Emperor Zhou was a lustful person. If he had not mentioned it, he might have been frightened by the restrictions on the statue of Nuwa and would not dare to act rashly. But Zunti blocked the entire ban on the Notre Dame palace, and also used Buddhism to arouse the desire in the emperor's heart. Everything was different. The scenery of Fengluan Bao's tent is very special, and it is full of intricate decorations made of gold and gold. The distant mountains are green, and the sleeves are dancing gracefully to reflect the clouds. The pear blossoms are blooming in the rain, and the smoke in the peony cage is charming. But you can act charmingly and take back Changle to serve the king. Looking at the poem, Zunti smiled proudly. Looking back at Nuwa. Junior sister, I leave it to you to destroy the Yin-Shang dynasty. With a flick of his finger, a spiritual light shook the restrictions of the Notre Dame palace. However, this strange spiritual power did not alarm Nuwa, but it alarmed Su Junming. Since he already knew the start of the conferred gods list, how could he not prepare in advance? But he had no intention of destroying the Yin-Shang dynasty. After all, Emperor Zhou was just an unlucky man who was being plotted against. With a flash of light, Su Junming's figure walked out from the statue of Nuwa. This is just his present form. After Su Junming realized the time path of Hunyuan, he awakened the great supernatural power called the body of time. 3 Dharmakayas can be distinguished: past, present, and future. The law body can carry his consciousness, but it cannot have independent consciousness and body like the Dragon Emperor and others. But even so, it was enough for him. He looked up at the poems on the wall, and with a wave of his hand, they all disappeared. Zunti, I haven't seen you for many years, your tail is up again. As soon as he took a step, a black space channel appeared instantly, and Su Junming's figure quickly disappeared into it. When he reappeared, a huge mountain with a height of millions of feet appeared in front of him, and the mighty Buddha's light enveloped the entire mountain. Within tens of millions of miles, the sound of Buddhist chants filled the sky. Obviously, apart from the fact that the name had not changed, Western religion was no different from the Buddhism he knew in later generations. Activate the Danshan Time Talisman, and a layer of faint crystal-colored divine light covers the whole body. Walk towards Mount Sumeru. The Bodhi formation that spread throughout Mount Sumeru seemed to be unable to feel his presence, and there was no movement at all. The monks who were practicing or giving lectures around him could not feel his presence. Su Junming walked all the way and soon passed through the main hall and arrived at the back of Mount Sumeru. From a distance, you can see a giant tree tens of thousands of feet high. Although it was blocked by numerous forbidden laws, he could still feel the powerful innate spiritual energy in the tree. And this giant tree is also the center of the Bodhi formation. With the help of the projection of the Dian mirror, one can clearly see Zunti sitting under the Bodhi tree, talking to Ji Yin. Junior brother, you are a little reckless this time. Now Su Junming and Nuwo have become Taoist couples, and their strength is not inferior to that of you and me. This reckless plot against Nuwo will probably make them angry, and then target our Western religion. Ji Yin looked sad. Senior brother, you are too worried. If the two of them were still in the ancient world, I would have some concerns. But now, they have opened up the world of mountains and have no foundation in the ancient world. Moreover, there are infinite world powers separating them, so what can they do? Do you know that I used tricks and calculations? Zunti looked proud. Ji Yin nodded. Having said that, junior brother needs to be more cautious in the future. Saints are different from ordinary people after all. And I, the Western sect, are about to flourish, so we must not make any mistakes. Zunti looked serious. What he pursued all his life was the vast number of Western religious disciples. What the senior brother taught me is that this time I am indeed a bit arrogant. Seeing him like this, Ji Yin didn't say much. The reason why the relationship between the two is so close, far more than that of the three brothers Sanking, is that they both know how to advance and retreat, and how to tolerate. Ba bang bang. The crisp applause, although not loud, was like thunder, making Ji Yin's Zunti turn his head instantly, and the magic power on his body soared into the sky. What a wonderful brotherhood! No wonder the Western sect can grow stronger under the leadership of the two leaders. I really admire it. It's you, Su Junming. Zunti stood up in shock and anger. Although Ji Yin was silent, the sad look on his face turned into shock. No one knows better than him how strong the formation and restrictions on Mount Sumi are, but even so, neither of them noticed the slightest movement from Su Junming, and were led to the core of Giga Garden. My fellow Taoists sounded so surprised. How come you forgot about me after only a few Yuanhui meetings? How could you come to Gigaiwan? This was the most shocking thing to Zunti. Of course, it's understandable. Whoever had watched his enemy standing beside his bed at night, watching himself practicing martial arts with his wife, would have been equally shocked and angry. There was even some panic and fear. It's not like you are in a lonely garden. Why can't I come here? As for being rude, haha, you are allowed to insult my wife in the Holy Mother Hall, but you are not allowed to come to ask for an explanation. After taking a slight breath, he stopped Zunti, who was about to speak. Fellow Taoist, it is indeed my junior brother who did something wrong in this matter. Pandeo will ask him to apologize to you. No wonder Taoist brother Ji Yin can take charge of the Western sect and achieve the late stage of Hunyuan Golden Immortal. In terms of magnanimity and forbearance, he is indeed much better than this good-for-nothing junior brother like you. You. He quickly stopped the furious Zunti. If you speak evil words, I'm afraid it will damage the dignity of the Taoist section. As a husband, your wife was teased. Do you think I am in a good mood? Su Junming said calmly. Ji Yin narrowed his eyes slightly. How do you want, fellow Taoist? Take the 12-grade golden lotus as an apology, and I will retreat. You are delusional, Zunti shouted angrily. Su Junming, do you think that my two senior fellow apprentices are the dough in your hands, and you can knead it however you want? If not, what am I doing here? After smiling calmly, I didn't intend to take care of you, but if you insist on provoking me regardless of life and death, I have no choice but to take action. It's up to you. Zunti smiled contemptuously and made a hand seal. The Bodhi tree behind him bloomed with thousands of spiritual lights, and the sound of Zen chanting of Buddha's music rose to the sky from the entire Sumeru mountain. The endless Buddha light turned the surrounding area into a golden color. Amitabha. After chanting the Buddha's name, a giant Buddha appeared in mid-air, sitting cross-legged on a 12-grade golden lotus, with his breasts exposed and scabbed. With the blessing of this giant Buddha, the surrounding golden Buddha light almost turned into reality. The two brothers shouted loudly. In mid-air, a huge golden swastika shrouded Su Junming. The astonishing power contained in it is enough to make any Hunyuan golden immortal take it seriously. Su Junming is also a Hunyuan golden immortal now. However, his true self understood the great path of Hongmeng realm. Although Su Junming stood with his hands behind his back, he was only 9 feet tall, but against the infinite golden Buddha light, he looked like an aloof green pine. Fearless and stand tall. Looking at Ji Yinzunti with a smile. I am not here to die. Make a hand gesture. The talisman in the Danshan space vibrates. Space freezes. The next moment, azure space mana flew in all directions like lightning. Wherever it passed, whether it was spiritual energy, magic power, treasures, or spiritual roots, everything was frozen. Ji Yin and Zunti instantly sensed the shocking threat and subconsciously ran away quickly. But Su Junming's space method is too fast. Before they could escape far, they were infected by the power of space. In an instant, the body, magic power, spiritual treasure, and even the spirit were all frozen. In a moment, the entire Mount Sumeru turned into a large bright yellow amber. Everything in between is solidified. It was the first time I tried the great magical power that I learned after advancing to the Hongmeng realm with the Space Dao. The effect was so powerful that it really lived up to Su Junming's expectations. Reach out and grab it. All the places frozen by the power of space shrank instantly, flew into his hands and disappeared. The base of Mount Sumeru has turned into a giant pit like the base of Mount Buzhu, but much smaller. Looking above from a distance, his heart moved, and the power of space exploded. Su Junming stepped into the open space channel and disappeared. The space channel also disappeared. The next moment, an old Taoist priest wearing a purple robe, with white beard and hair, and a majestic aura suddenly appeared on the scene. Not long after, 3 rays of light flew from afar. After stopping, an old man wearing a red Taoist robe, a middle-aged man wearing a white Taoist robe, and a young man wearing a green Taoist robe walked out. The 3 people have different temperaments. The old man is casual, the middle-aged man is dignified, and the young man has a sharp aura. Seeing the old Taoist, the 3 of them were surprised by the great changes in Mount Sumi and quickly bowed and saluted. "See, teacher." Hung Jun nodded and ignored it. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1157. Teacher, why did Mount Sumeru suddenly disappear? Tong Tian asked. After they felt the powerful mana fluctuations in the west, they urged the escape light to fly over. Unexpectedly, as soon as they arrived, they saw that Mount Sumi, the dojo where Yin and Zunti were located at the core of the western wilderness, had disappeared. Looking at the bottomless hole, they subconsciously remembered the situation when Su Junming pulled away from Buzhu Mountain. It's Su Junming. Hung Jun frowned slightly. The other party's space method had exceeded his original imagination. When he mobilized the power of heaven and earth to break the other party's transmission channel, he found that the other party had already left the range that prehistoric could influence. This kind of spatial ability was much worse than Yang Mei's back then. True Lord Chongshan Su Junming. Sanking was shocked. Mount Sumi was pulled away, and Ji Yin and Zunti are now nowhere to be seen, so naturally they were taken away together. But being able to capture the 2 saints before Hung Jun intercepted them was beyond their imagination. The Supreme Being asked himself that with the help of the Xian Huang exquisite pagoda of heaven and earth and the Tai Chi diagram, he could defeat Ji Yin and Zunti, but he could never capture them. Let alone do it in such a short time. Sanking looked at each other and saw a hint of joy in each other's eyes. If there were no two troublesome guys like Jian and Zunti, their strategy of defeating Hung Jun and using the descendants of Pangu to take charge of the ancient world would have increased their success rate by at least 30%. Teacher, Su Junming has gone too far to deceive others. I hope that teacher will allow me to go to Chongshan together to bring back my two junior brothers, Zai Ying and Zunti, the Supreme Master said in a deep voice. Brother's brain is still quick. Yuanqi and Tongtian secretly praised in their hearts. Although Sanking and the second sage of the West did not deal with it, the entire prehistoric era knew about it. But at this critical moment, the best strategy is not to add insult to injury. No need, I will handle this matter myself. You should deal with the matter of becoming a god. With a wave of his sleeves, the figure disappeared instantly. Congratulations, teacher. When Hung Jun was far away, the Supreme Emperor gave Yuanqi and Tongtian a look. The two understood and urged Deng Guang to come to Shaoyang Mountain. Although at this time, a gathering of 3 people would easily arouse Hung Jun's suspicion. But now that the latter's energy is attracted by the arrests of Jiyan and Zunti, he probably won't pay too much attention to them. After walking into Tashita Palace and setting numerous seals, Tongtian couldn't bear it any longer. Ha ha ha, it's better this time. Without the troublesome guy Zunti Jingyan, we have one less obstacle, and we have greater hope of killing the old thief Hung Jun. Tai Shang and Yuanqi nodded, with happy smiles on their faces. Suddenly, the latter sighed. I didn't expect Su Junming's strength to be so strong. Even if he joins forces with Zunti, he is no match for him. The Supreme Being nodded. It seems that he has understood the way of space to a very deep level. They don't know how to reach the realm of space to have such combat power. Fortunately, we have nothing to do with him, otherwise we might be the unlucky ones, Tongtian said. If we encounter this person again in the future, we need to be careful, Yuanqi said. Tai Hang and Tongtian nodded. They are not fools. The opponent can capture Zunti and lead, and of course they can capture them. A sense of urgency appeared in the hearts of the 3 of them. Only stronger strength is the best way to protect one's own safety. But I am very curious. What did Ji Yinzun mention that made Su Junming so angry that he did not hesitate to personally capture the 2 of them, Tongtian said. After the 3 of them exchanged glances, they made calculations at the same time. However, the related cause and effect had long been erased by Su Junming, so of course they would not calculate anything. Chongshan Film Realm is located on a low mountain in the main campus of Chongshan Academy. Junming, what's wrong? Su Junming turned his head and looked at the teacher in front of him, who was wearing a cyan robe and black-rimmed glasses, with an inexplicable joy in his expression, and shook his head. I just remembered some things from the past. He nodded with 4 eyes and stared at the row upon row of buildings in the distance. Thousands of monks who had achieved Tai Yi and even De Luo felt infinite emotion in their hearts. He never expected that his disciple would reach this stage. Founded a sect and had hundreds of millions of disciples, spanning thousands of worlds. It can even pull him out of time directly from the moment before the tribulation. Who can believe this kind of power unless they see it with their own eyes? Boom. The crisp ringing of the bell instantly cleared away the distracting thoughts in the eyes. Be still, junior brother. If you continue like this, you will never achieve greatness. Next to him, Uncle Ju, who had white hair and beard but had already become a Yuan Yang golden immortal, scolded. Senior brother, who could it be? 1 second he was going through a tribulation, and the next second he had so many powerful disciples, how could he feel calm? Simu said with a bitter smile. Uncle Ju understood his junior brother very well. If he hadn't grown up with Chongshan Academy, he would have fallen into the same situation as him. It spans hundreds of thousands of years. 1 second, the disciple is still a golden elixir, and the next, he has achieved great success. It's amazing that I can feel calm. Su Junming sat cross-legged and watched the exchange between master and uncle with a smile on his face. When his time path broke through Hongmeng, he found the whereabouts of his master's four eyes. After failing to cross the Golden Pill tribulation, he managed to retain his soul. Under the protection of the founder of Nanmishan Mountain Gate, he became a ghost soldier in the underworld. Later, he was transferred to the underworld as a servant in the vast world. After accumulating enough yin virtue, he was reincarnated to rebuild his cultivation. Although Su Junming was able to centrally recall his memory, he thought about it and forgot about it. He took action directly and brought out the four eyes before the tribulation from the turbulent flow of time. Therefore, his memory also stayed at the time when he was in Uncle Ju's world. In addition, Su Junming did not tell him, nor did he tell Uncle Ju, about his true realm, nor about the existence of Yang Mei and others. Without it, it would be too early. It's never too late to advance to Hunyuan. With the help of Su Junming's Dian Divine Mirror, even if the master's four-eye aptitude is only average, as long as he continues to practice, he will have the hope of advancing to Hunyuan in the future, but forget about Hongmeng. The requirements for qualifications, understanding, and opportunities are too high. Even the Dian Mirror can only play a supporting role. Fortunately, monks in the Hunyuan realm can live forever as long as they don't seek death. Master, you haven't seen each other for many years, let's chat first. I have some things to deal with first. Wait a minute, Junming, how is Jia Le? Junior brother gave up his practice after he married Ching Ching. If master misses me, I can also bring junior brother Jiali. After thinking for a while, Simu shook his head. Forget it. Your junior brother is not a good person in cultivation. It is his blessing to share a family relationship with Ching Ching. Don't disturb him. Yes. After bowing, Su Junming's figure slowly disappeared. Shimu sighed. I really didn't expect Junming to go this far. He saved me, a person who should have died. Uncle Ju nodded in agreement. As someone who has watched Su Junming step by step until now, he also has the same emotion. The wisest thing you did in your life was to accept Junming as your disciple. There was a look of pride on Simu's face. Of course. Returning to the Hunyuan stone ball, Renwuji, Long Emperor, and the others surrounded them. Boss, didn't you just ignore Hong Huang for now? Why did you capture both Jian and Zunti? Renwuji said. If I don't care about this matter, wouldn't it make people laugh? My wife was teased and she didn't even say a word. Is this still a man? He couldn't afford to lose this person anyway. But after this incident, Hung Jun will probably become wary of us, the Dragon Emperor said. Su Junming nodded. Originally, he thought that after he and Nuwa became Taoist couples, Ji Yin and Zunti would be wary and would not dare to provoke her again. Unexpectedly, the inertia of Tiandao was so great, and Zunti still bumped into it. It really lives up to the saying, plans don't change as fast as they should. Be vigilant and be vigilant. When soldiers come, they will stop you. When water comes, earth will cover you up. Then let's go to Hong Huang now and kill Mr. Hung Jun, Pan Tuo said excitedly. Renwuji is talkative, Dragon Emperor is indifferent, Ao Tian is lustful, Su De is greedy for money, Chen Xianzang is a gambler, Tiangong Taoist is lethargic, and Pan Tuo is aggressive. Each of them, who advanced from the Seven Souls, has their own strong hobbies, and each of them shares part of Su Junming's 7 emotions and 6 desires. It is precisely because of this that Su Junming himself became extremely calm. It has truly reached the point where one does not need the Dian mirror and is not afraid of inner demons. Old BA, you are really full of muscles in your brain. We are now fighting towards the ancient world. No matter whether we can kill Hung Jun or not, in the end we will let the gods rebel, the Taishu human race and the Taigo tribes take advantage. Do you want us to fight to the death to make wedding dresses for others? Su De said unhappily. I'm just talking, it's not enough, Pan Tuo said angrily. I'm too lazy to get angry with you, a stubborn donkey. Boss, what do you plan to do with the Buddhist people? Chen Xianzang asked. After Su Junming thought for a moment, he reached out and made a move. Two rays of purple spiritual energy that were like smoke and mist, but also supreme and noble, flew out from the bodies of Jiyin and Zunti. Hongmeng purple energy. He had already seen it from Nuwa. This is the origin of the ancient world, so that the saint can control the power of the ancient world. Su Junming held it in his hand and played with it for a moment, then waved it casually. Two beams of Hongmeng purple energy flew into the space passage and instantly fell into the world of Chongshan. The powerful power of heaven instantly destroyed the prehistoric marks in the two rays of Hongmeng purple energy and turned them into nutrients for his body. With this addition, the power of heaven and earth in Chongshan world has once again increased by 10%, and the edge of the world has expanded again. To put it bluntly, the current Hunyuan world of Chongshan has surpassed the prehistoric times of the Middle Ages, and is almost different from the time when the innate spiritual energy existed and the Tianzu of Buzhu Mountain was not broken. However, it is still far behind the ancient times and the early days when the origin of heaven and earth was more powerful. Without the blessing of Hongmeng purple chi, Jiyin would only have entered the late stage of Hunyuan golden immortal, while Zunti would only have entered the early stage of Hunyuan golden immortal. In terms of cultivation, he is the worst among the saints. However, as the ancestor of Buddhism, he is indeed the most qualified. He has been working hard for the growth of Buddhism from beginning to end, even at the risk of dying in person. In comparison, Sanking and Jiyin are not as good as him. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1158. After taking away the Hongmeng purple chi, Su Junming waved his hand, and a 12th grade golden lotus with bright golden light flew out. This is his most precious treasure. He originally planned to wait until the prehistoric incident was over before getting it, but now by some strange combination of circumstances, he got it first. Looking at the golden lotus of merit and virtue in his hand, the origin of this golden lotus is stronger than the 12th-grade red lotus. But it was inferior to Luahu's 12th-grade black lotus of destruction. And the 12th-grade black lotus of destruction is much worse than the 12th-grade green lotus. The latter two are Hongmeng spiritual treasures, while the first two are only top-grade innate spiritual treasures. With a thought in his heart, the crystal-colored divine power of time enveloped golden lotus. Return to our roots. Soon, the merits on the 12th-grade golden lotus dissipated, and gradually turned into a ball of pure chaotic green lotus origin. Soon, a series of restrictions were derived, sealing the origin of Qinglian. Tiangong Taoist is currently practicing the arm of the giant beast of destruction. It has reached a critical moment, so it is best not to disturb him. Soon, a dark green pennant, exuding the rich green wood charm, with a green lotus embroidered on the front, flew out. It was the green lotus treasure color flag, one of the 5 innate flags given by Hongjun and controlled by Zunti. It contains 45 innate divine prohibitions and has unparalleled defense. In fact, he was also transformed from the green lotus petals of creation, but Su Junming was too lazy to use return to origin. After all, the green lotus treasure flag is not the 4 lotus platforms, and it has no fundamental promoting effect on the chaos green lotus. Instead of accepting it, it is better to stay in Chongshan Academy's Lingbao Hall to help the disciples understand the innate wood way. Behind the blue lotus-colored flag, the 7 treasures wonderful tree flew out. With a flick of the finger, the gold, silver, colored glaze, crystal, clam, red pearl, agate, and the 7 middle-grade innate spiritual treasures all fell. The power of time enveloped the remaining wooden staff and quickly turned into a cut off the Bodhi tree branches that are 10,000 feet long. Among the 2 saints in the west, Jiyin was transformed from the best innate spiritual treasure Jiyin Divine Banner, while Zunti was transformed from the best innate spiritual root Bodhi tree. If Su Junming did not intend to kill Zunti, he would naturally not be able to obtain the Bodhi tree itself. However, the main branch transformed from the seven treasures tree and another one cultivated by Zunti, the acquired Bodhi spiritual root originally used to suppress the Bodhi formation, also met his needs. If it is placed in chaos to absorb the chaotic aura of hundreds of UN guilds, the acquired spiritual roots will also advance to the innate level. However, such talent is of no use to Su Junming anymore. More is left for the disciples to realize. The Zhengjin Bodhi tree in the west, the Jiamu Ginseng fruit tree in the east, the Binghuo red date in the south, the Renshui flat peach tree in the north, the central Wu earth building wood sacred tree, the innate pure yang hibiscus tree, and the innate pure yin laurel tree. In addition to Ruomu, who is a part of Thunder Dao, and Sunmu, who is a part of Wind Dao, I have the best innate spiritual roots that occupy the 5 elements and 4 phenomena of the ancient world. Although except for Jianmu, everything else was nurtured, but at least they were all put together. Moreover, there is Hungman's good fortune spiritual water, and its origin is as strong as their original parent body. The only difference is that there is no innate immortal aura and cannot suppress luck. The last thing is a bamboo stick. It is the famous 6 roots of purity bamboo in ancient times. It is a top-grade innate spiritual root that contains the way of purity. It is so unique. It just so happened that he was the one who got it, and Su Junming was not polite. After taking some herbs and spiritual roots that he did not have from the Sumi Mountain Medicine Garden, Su Junming did not touch the blessed pestles, purple gold alms bowls and other treasures. They were all acquired treasures, and he looked down upon them. With a casual move, tens of thousands of Buddhist cultivators flew out from Mount Sumeru. As soon as my heart moved, everything turned gray. These monsters that were led to the west by Zunti took advantage of the Lich War, and each of them was stained with the blood debt of the human race. Although Western religions believe in putting down the butcher's knife and becoming a Buddha immediately, they can't live with it here. The remaining ones who had no sins and debts and were devoted to cultivating Taoism, Su Junming gave them the opportunity to become Taoists. With a flick of his finger, the seal on Jiyan Zunti's body was instantly removed. The two instantly understood what they had lost. However, looking at the surrounding beings with soaring momentum and every cultivation level above him, he suppressed his anger. Amitabha, fellow Taoist Su, I don't know what to do with my Western religion. Jiyan was smart enough not to mention the lost treasures. Without lives, everything was meaningless. Zunti also looked a little nervous. Now that the mana in their bodies has been sealed, they are just like meat on the chopping board, and they are at the mercy of others. How can they not be nervous? Su Junming smiled calmly. I am not a murderer. If fellow Taoist Zunti had not provoked me first, I would not want to embarrass the two fellow Taoists. But since the cause and effect have been resolved, it must be settled. Fellow Taoist, please speak clearly, Jiyan said. Come and see. Su Junming waved his hand, and Mount Sumeru disappeared instantly in his palm. When it reappeared, it had fallen into the edge of the western sea in the chaotic world of Chongshan. Most of a million-foot mountain was eroded by the sea in an instant. However, most of the Buddhist disciples who were in debt were wiped out by Su Junming, leaving enough space for the remaining people to survive. With a flick of his finger, 2 teleportation altars engraved with divine patterns flew into Zunti's hands. Fellow Taoist Zunti and fellow Taoist Jiyan are both members of the Hunyuan Golden Immortal. They can lead their disciples to the chaos sea of our Chongshan mountain, and lead the chaotic spiritual energy to transform the innate, and use this to transport the altar to Mount Sumeru. When Mount Sumeru transforms into the Sumeru continent, which is as big as the prehistoric earth, I will understand the cause and effect of the two of you, and you will be free. Even if you preach in my Chongshan Hunyuan world, you will be allowed to do so. Jiyan Zunti's eyes lit up. Do you, fellow Taoist, really mean what you say? With their cultivation, they were able to transform Mount Sumeru into something similar to the size of the ancient land. Although it was difficult, it was not without hope. It's just dozens of Yuanhui's time. And as the cultivation level continues to improve, the speed will become even faster. In particular, Zunti, as a Bodhi tree, is best at sorting out turbidity. At that time, Zhuang was destroyed by Luo Hu. If the two brothers had not deliberately channeled the chaotic spiritual energy and turned it into innate spiritual energy to repair the earth's veins, Zhuang would have been destroyed long ago. I never lie. My two senior brothers agreed. Then I wish you both success in advance. With a wave of his sleeves, the two of them felt a soft but powerful force wrap around them. The surrounding scenery suddenly changed, and when they reappeared, it was already billowing chaos. However, they discovered that the chaotic energy here was far less violent than imagined. If there is a spiritual treasure to protect it, even Deluo monks can stay. The two looked at each other and understood that this was probably the sea of chaos that the other party mentioned. Suddenly, a giant Bodhi tree with a height of tens of millions of feet, luxuriant branches, and vast aura appeared. Next to the tree, there is a five-sided pagoda with 9 floors. There are copper bells hanging on each floor, and there is a huge orb at the top, blooming with thousands of brilliance. Wherever it shines, everything turns into a peaceful atmosphere. Soon, 2 more huge altars fell into the roots of the tree and the base of the pagoda. The rolling chaotic spiritual energy was refined by the Bodhi tree and the Jain pagoda, transformed into powerful innate spiritual energy, and sent to Mount Sumeru through the teleportation array. Thanks to the innate spiritual energy, the spiritual veins of Mount Sumeru began to grow, and the mountain also began to expand little by little. Although the process is slow, it is growing. These two guys are very aware of current affairs. Renwuji looked at the scene in the water mirror and smiled. Isn't it always like this in Buddhism? Surrender when you can't defeat them. Ao Tian's tone was full of sarcasm. Boss, with Jiyan Zunti's cultivation, it is a bit difficult to expand Mount Sumeru to the size of the great desolate continent, but it is not impossible. If we wait until they are free, we can really let them live in the Chongshan Hunyuan world. Preaching, Chen Xianzang asked. Su Junming nodded slowly. A monotonous world with only Chongshan Academy will not have much future. Only by promoting all the Tao simultaneously, all races coexisting, and 100 flowers blooming, can Chongshan Academy gather talents and continue to grow. Such a mountainous world will one day achieve the true world again. So, whether it is Buddhism or Taoism, or even the Desolate Beast clan, Taishu Human clan, Winged clan, Scorpion clan, etc., there is no need to kill them all. The right way is to subjugate them and contribute to the growth of our Chongshan world. His eyes slowly swept over the Dragon Emperor and others. We are destined to achieve the ultimate realm of Hongmeng. The Supreme Being is just the beginning. The Great Lord, the Supreme One, and even the Hongmeng Heavenly Lord will all be passed by us one by one. You need to have a long-term vision and an open mind. Everyone nodded. Suddenly, the green gourd around his waist bloomed with spiritual light, and Nuwa's influence emerged in his heart. Junming, did you catch Zunti and lead him? How did you know? Teacher Hung Jun found my brother and asked him to convey it to me, hoping that we can release him and lead him back. Su Junming didn't say much, and directly let go of what Zunti did in the Yinshang Chao Ji Holy Mother Hall. There was silence for a while. This is real. His tone was gloomy, like an erupting volcano. If that's not the case, I'm full. Why would I be causing trouble for the two of them? Damn Zunti Jiyin, insult my reputation, I want to kill them. Gritting his teeth, the angry voice went straight to the bottom of his heart, making him feel quite frightened. Nuwa, I have sealed Jiyin and Zunti. If you don't have hundreds of dollars, you can't get them. It's considered punishment. I'll leave it to you, Hung Jun. Seal? It really gives them an advantage. Green Gourd's aura dimmed. Su Junming breathed a sigh of relief. It's been a long time since I've seen Nuwa so angry. But what he didn't expect was that after knowing the whole story, she still did something. Use the demon calling banner to let the 3 demons from Xianyuan tomb destroy the luck of the Yin Shang dynasty. Everything seems to be back on track. Su Jun knew clearly, but did not stop her. Nuwa's anger always had to be vented. Even if it is tainted with some cause and effect, it is within their tolerance. However, because of Su Junming's intervention, the spirit bead did not fail to overcome the tribulation like in the original history, and the soul was reincarnated as Neza. The 3 brothers and sisters Yang Qiao, Yang Jian, and Yang Chen also made rapid progress in their cultivation under the guidance of Su Bui and Su Bui. Basically, he will not participate in the prehistoric calamity. Of course, for the vast and immeasurable calamity, these details cannot change the general trend. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1159. The Sumeru world outside the prehistoric world was jointly developed by Yin and Zunti. Therefore, it is larger than the Daqishan, Qingguishan, and Yuyushan respectively opened by the 3 Qing dynasties. Although it is not as good as the Xiantian world that has been moved away, it is still 1/5 the size of the current prehistoric continent. This is a world that belongs entirely to Western religion. The vast continent is filled with sandalwood. Buddhist temples have replaced secular yamen and become the rulers. Practitioners have a supreme status. Even though Jain Zunti disappeared, this Sumeru world still operates according to the established rituals. Sudden. An extremely powerful force came. The Sumeru world had almost no resistance and was dragged by the tyrannical force towards the depths of chaos. Such a huge movement naturally alarmed Hung Jun, Sanking, and even some forces lurking in the dark. But unexpectedly, Hung Jun did not stop him. Because of the huge gravitational force, Su Maishan quickly emerged from the chaos within the prehistoric world, and Hung Jun completely lost the possibility of intervening. However, some people also guessed the possibility of Hung Jun doing this. Find out the location of Chongshan Hunyuan world. Chaos is too vast, almost boundless, and the violent chaotic aura is extremely unfriendly to spiritual consciousness. Even the Hunyuan Golden Immortal's spiritual consciousness range does not exceed 300 million miles. Of course, there are exceptions with the blessing of heavy treasures. But what surprised everyone was that after arriving in the depths of chaos, a powerful azure divine light enveloped Su Maishan, accompanied by a powerful spatial rhythm. The huge Su Maishan slowly shrank and disappeared in a huge space channel in an instant. The people who were peeping in the dark were startled, and they all started to fight with each other, and streams of light flew towards the space passage. It was obviously intended to leave signposts there to make it easier to find. Haha, since you want to come so much, then come in. The azure aura surged, and a powerful force of space turned into a giant palm, grabbing straight into the chaos. Scold. Hey. Along with the shouts, the mighty mana drove away the chaos, but before they could shine, they collapsed in front of the powerful space palm. Several black shadows were about to escape, but as the cyan light exploded that day, everything was suppressed. The giant palm retracted, and several black figures were also caught into the space channel. The passage slowly disappeared, and the chaos returned to calm. What a powerful space method! Surprises sounded from several places at the same time. Giant Spirit Cave Sky, like all creatures from prehistoric times, uses a central sky pillar to support the sky. In the majestic temple located on the top of the giant spirit peak, the giant spirit god, wearing a crown and holding a scepter, sits on the huge throne in the center. Below him, there are nearly 40 huge figures over 1,000 feet tall. Each one of them is blooming with amazing energy and blood. If it is sensed with spiritual consciousness, it is like a blood-red scorching sun, hot and domineering. Although they are not as good as the giant spirit god, they are all existences in the Hunyuan realm. He was called martial saint in the prehistoric way. The body refining, general, admiral, divine general, and martial saint of martial arts respectively correspond to the Qi refining, Yuan Yang realm, Tai realm, Deluo realm, and Hunyuan realm of the Qi refining path. God Lord, Panluo was captured by Chongshan True Lord Su Junming. Aren't we going to rescue him? A bald man with a red face and a beard said. The sound was like a loud bell, echoing throughout the entire hall. I also want to save people, but it's a pity that we still don't know the location of Chongshan Hunyuan world. The giant spirit god frowned. He wanted to take action just now, but the distance was too far. Master Wuzu, can't you count it out? Everyone subconsciously looked towards the left side of the giant spirit god, the white-haired old woman wearing black robes and holding a skull staff on her knees. The old woman's eyes were glowing with green light, as if she were a ghost. The aura on his body is also extremely strange, and it is like two extremes from the situation where the giant spirit clan's energy and blood are soaring to the sky. Moreover, its height is only 3 feet, which makes it look like an ant in comparison with the giant spirits who are often thousands of feet tall. But even so, no one would look down upon her. The strange aura on her body was only slightly inferior to that of the giant spirit god at the peak of the martial saint. Obviously he is also at the Hunyuan golden immortal level. The old woman shook her head. I've done it many times, and every time I see it is a fog. We can locate it through Panluo. A black-haired giant spirit tribe said. I've already tried it. Ever since Panluo was captured, he has completely lost his trace. Even my clan's holy manifestation stone can't find any trace of it. There was a sigh in the old woman's tone. How can this be? Can't find the holy stone. The saint manifestation stone is a sacred object inherited by the giant spirit clan. After each giant spirit clan member is born, he will leave a drop of his own blood on it. If he encounters danger in the future, he can seek help from the clan through the saint manifestation stone. Of course, you can also use this treasure to trace the whereabouts of your clan members. It has been hundreds of years since the birth of the giant spirit clan, and this treasure has never made any mistakes. Quiet. The thunderous voice instantly drowned out everyone's arguments. Everyone subconsciously looked towards the giant spirit god, but when they encountered the majestic eyes, they all lowered their heads. Plate medicine. A giant spirit wearing yellow linen clothes, with a hemp rope tied around his waist, and a bronze complexion, resembling an old farmer, strode out. The giant spirits consider themselves to be descendants of Pangu, so they have always taken Pan as their surname. God Lord. As far as I know, you had a relationship with Fuxi in ancient times. Yes. When I traveled to Buzhu Mountain, I discussed Taoism with him, and we interacted with him many times afterwards. It's just that time has passed, and I wonder if he still remembers me as an old friend. Su Junming and Nuwa formed a Taoist couple, and Fuxi is Nuwa's brother. If you want to contact Su Junming, you need to start with Fuxi. Simply because he is now the emperor of the medieval human race, and he is in charge of the Great Fire Cloud Cave. The Lord God wants me to go to Fire Cloud Cave to find Fuxi and make peace with him. Exactly. After a pause, if possible, I would also like to see Su Junming. He had never paid much attention to Chongshan True Lord Su Junming before. After all, according to the rumors, he is just a so-called saint who is opportunistic and has the power of the Hunyuan Golden Immortal by virtue of the power of the world. But this time Su Junming's move really shocked him. Before Hung Jun could react, he could capture Ji Yinzunti. After all, these two people are also at the level of Hunyuan Golden Immortal. After leading Sumi Tian away, even he was shocked by the powerful space method. Obviously the other party has understood the way of space to an extremely profound level. In addition, there is a Chongshan Hunyuan world that is no smaller than his giant spirit world. This is a strong support. And judging from his actions in capturing Ji Yinzunti, it was obvious that he didn't have much to deal with Hung Jun and could definitely win over him. After Pan Yao respectfully agreed, he got up and headed to the ancient continent. After sealing away a few peeping guys, Su Junming took Su Meishan to the top of Chongshan world. Now the world opened up by him has surpassed the size of the ancient world. The central continent is the largest, followed by the Shadow Realm continent, and finally the Wawan continent. As for Mount Sumeru, most of it is submerged under the sea water, and the part left above is more like a reef in the sea. As soon as my heart moved, the huge Su Meishan fell in the north of the world. Its size is comparable to the much larger Wawan continent. Religious rule should not exist in my world. With a wave of the bamboo stick in his hand, the mighty black divine light was like the Milky Way pouring down. All the Buddhist temples were destroyed, those with sinful debts died, and those with merits were transferred to Mount Sumeru by Su Junming. Only the people from Chongshan Academy can deal with the remaining mortals. Feeling the growing origin of Chongshan world, he nodded with satisfaction. Suddenly, Renwuji's anxious and excited words appeared in his heart. "Come on, boss, Lao Chi's baby is about to be released." Su Junming was shocked. After giving the order to the 7 deacons of Chongshan Academy to accept the Sumeru continent, he took a step forward and disappeared in an instant. When he came to the chaotic stone ball, thunder was already rolling in here. The mighty calamity energy involves hundreds of millions of miles. Even he felt the heavy pressure from the tyrannical pressure. In the center of the calamity cloud is a giant arm glowing with bronze aura. This giant arm is divided into 3 sections. The upper arm is thick, the forearm is slender, and the giant palm has 7 fingers. The whole body is covered with bronze-colored scales, each scale is 100,000 feet in size, and the entire giant arm is 300 million miles long. Countless dark purple divine patterns, as if they were born, are embedded in the scales, beautiful and mysterious. The entire giant arm gives people an amazing sense of strength. It seems that with just a slight grasp, the space can be broken and the world can be shattered. Boom! The mighty purple thunder struck down. The rolling thunder fell from the sky like a purple river, and within a moment, it submerged the giant arm. The son of chaos, a giant beast of destruction, transformed into the realm of Hongmeng. A treasure made from its arms, the material is naturally extraordinary. The thunder rolled by, but no one was hurt. However, this is only the first thunderbolt. Looking at the scale of the catastrophe, it was at least 99 and 81. It is equivalent to the end of the Hunyuan tribulation for a chi refiner. If you survive it, you will have the Hongmeng Lingbao. If you cannot survive it, you will become ashes. Boom! The second thunder struck down. Countless purple thunderbolts were like razors, tearing at the hard purple-black scales crazily. However, apart from the tinkling sounds and bursts of sparks, no traces were left. The 3rd, the 9th, the 20th, in the blink of an eye, more than half of the catastrophe has passed. When the thunder tribulation reached the 70th level, it was once again upgraded to a higher level. The diameter of the roaring thunder exceeds the length of this giant arm. The color of the thunder has turned from purple to black, and its power is hundreds of times stronger than at the beginning. Under the forging of infinite thunder, the impurities in Juju's hands became less and less, and the originally loose forbidden divine patterns became more and more refined and tighter. The blue-black giant arm has a faint layer of purple light. It's less ferocious and more sacred. Boom! The endless thunder turned into a long dragon and swallowed the giant arm in one mouthful. The rolling thunder, drumming and lingering, is like thousands of birds singing in unison, shaking the chaotic void. After about a quarter of an hour, the thunder dissipated. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1160. The blue-black giant arm had an extra layer of glazed color, and there was a faint scratch on the strong scales. Although it was not very obvious, it still made Su Junming's eyes appear a little hazy. It was obvious that the blue-black giant arm was approaching its critical point. And these were only 71 thunder tribulations, and there were 10 more to come, especially the most powerful one, 81. Boom! 72 thunderbolts struck down, and their power was almost several times that of the previous 71. The tyrannical thunder once again wrapped the giant arm in the middle, unleashing its power to its heart's content. The thunder dissipated, and the mottled spots on the giant arm became a little more mottled. Road 73. Road 74. It was 80 in the blink of an eye. Ka. There was a cracking sound, and you could see with the naked eye that mottled marks were all over the entire giant arm. From a distance, it looks like a giant piece of glass about to break. It's over, I want bad food. Renwiji exclaimed. Everyone also looked worried, as the 81 most powerful thunder tribulations had not yet passed. Sudden. There was silence between heaven and earth. A powerful chilling air enveloped half of the Hunyuan stone ball. The calamity clouds in the sky were spinning rapidly, like a huge vortex, wildly sucking in the chaotic spiritual energy around them. Gradually, in the center of the calamity cloud, a long-handled hammer that was completely filled with thunder slurry and weighed hundreds of millions of feet emerged. Floating in the center of the giant hammer is an ancient talisman that exudes endless thunder. The majestic giant hammer flew towards the giant arm lightly. It seems to have no weight and no power at all. But Su Junming and others could feel the earth-shattering tyrannical power. At this moment, the huge arm that had been motionless and floating in mid-air, letting the thunder rage, suddenly changed. A milky white divine light of creation flashed through, and the scars on the surface of the giant arm disappeared instantly. With a wave of his giant palm, a powerful spiritual light formed, and a three-legged cauldron billions of feet tall was instantly formed. Countless mysterious divine patterns are engraved on the furnace wall, and they are transformed by spiritual energy, but they are almost solid. The huge divine furnace is like an extremely huge planet, flying straight towards the thunder hammer with earth-shattering power. Getting closer and closer, and soon the two collided. Light. The vast bright light, like the sun rising in the east, instantly illuminated the entire Hunyuan stone ball. The magnificent and powerful shock wave expanded rapidly at an astonishing speed, spanning billions of miles almost like lightning. Boom! Earth-shattering roars followed. The entire chaos stone ball began to vibrate. The rolling chaotic spiritual energy turned into earth, water, wind, and fire, and was instantly crushed by a tyrannical force, shattered and dissipated. The huge movement lasted for a long time. Su Junming and others surged with mana. After blocking the aftermath, their eyes were fixed on the core of the sun. As the light gradually dimmed, a giant arm 300 million feet long and as thick as a planet emerged. Compared to the beginning, it looks a bit more miserable now. On the palm of the hand, the scales were broken, revealing bright red flesh buds and thick white bones. There were cracks everywhere on the arm, and the flesh and blood were blurred. The only thing that's better is the upper arm, which looks a little mottled but not damaged. Seeing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Lingbao has no inner demon tribulation, and it is considered a success after surviving the thunder tribulation. The rolling clouds of calamity soon turned into rolling spiritual energy of creation. How fierce the previous thunder tribulation was, how strong the current creation aura was. Under the nurture of nature, the damage on the giant arm was quickly repaired, the strength of the scales increased rapidly, and the restrictions became more refined, dense, and interlocking. The aura on the entire arm was like an erupting volcano, rising rapidly. Gradually, the originally blue-black arms turned into navy blue, and the scales on the surface were no longer a dull color, but looked like fine jade, exuding a rich precious light. The mysterious and complicated restrictions are like steel wires, tightly connecting every scale, every inch of muscle, and even every bone, making them tough. In addition to the change in appearance, 2 yellow-white huang restrictions appeared in the arms. Su Junming can clearly sense the flavor of creation and heavenly craftsmanship. The giant arm that had absorbed all the spiritual energy of creation slowly shrank and fell into the palm of Tiangong Taoist. No need to shout, Renwuji, Ao Tian and others have already rushed over. The fastest runner is Suda, this guy is the most greedy for money. Facing a low-grade Hongmeng spiritual treasure with 2 Hongmeng spiritual restrictions, he could still bear it. Su Junming did not move because he clearly sensed the drastic changes in the Tiangong Dao talisman in his danshan. An aura belonging to Hongmeng filled the air. Obviously, with the success of this giant arm, Tiangong Taoist's Tiangong Dao finally broke through the final limit and achieved the Hongmeng realm. Compared with the promotion of De Dao, a low-grade Hongmeng Ling Bao has become lighter. Looking at the 3-foot 9-inch long hand in Taoist Tiangong's hand, which seemed to be different from a normal human arm, Su De rubbed his hands, licked his face and said, "Old Chi, please touch it for me." Before Master Tiangong could agree, Renwuji had already grabbed it. His face changed suddenly, and he staggered and almost fell down. After quickly activating the magic power in his body to stabilize his figure, he looked at the cyan arm in his hand in surprise. So heavy. Ren Lao you are too careless to steal things in public. Suda was furious. Hey, Lao Chi didn't say I would show it to you first. After curling his lips, he shook the cyan arm in his hand and said, this thing is too heavy. How much mana does it take to control it? You can't do it yourself, don't blame me, baby. Suda snatched it away and held it in his arms. But his expression also changed. Just as Renwuji said, this arm is too heavy. It looks like a small section, but it weighs as much as a huge world. Hey, I'm making you anxious. Too lazy to talk to Renwuji, he turned his head. Lao Chi, why is this thing so heavy? The Son of Chaos is a giant beast of the Hongmeng level. Its arms are already as heavy as mountains, and I tempered them with the spirit water created by Hongmeng. Its power has increased and its weight has naturally become lighter, Tiangong Taoist said. Can't it be changed? For example, adding a ban on weight loss. Tiangong Taoist shook his head. If you want to keep the grade of Hongmeng Lingbao, its weight cannot be reduced. Of course, maybe I, Tiangong Dao, can do it after taking a step further, but I definitely can't do it now. I'll try. Pan Tuo reached out and took it, shaking it in his hand. It doesn't seem to be very heavy. Who can compete with a bull like you? Renwuji said angrily. Boss. Looking at Su Junming, Renwuji stopped talking. I am not a good-tempered lord. This giant arm of destruction weighs 300 billion kilograms. Except for you and me, it consumes too much mana to use, Tiangong Taoist said. Hey, this is a good relationship. Pan Tuo turned his head. Boss, you have the Dian mirror, why don't you just leave this destructive giant arm to me? Su Junming nodded. He didn't like this kind of Lingbao in the first place. Seeing that he agreed, Pan Tuo looked excited, and quickly put his soul mark into it, and instantly understood the use of this giant arm. He waved his hand and put this giant arm under his ribs, making it fit to his body. A wonderful scene appeared in front of everyone. The broken arm bones of the giant arm extended automatically, inserted into Taoist Tiangong's back, and connected with his vertebrae. It looks like Taoist Tiangong has grown a third arm. But he can still use it freely. The hand moves according to the heart, and the 7 fingers pinch the seal, and it works smoothly. How? Tiangong asked. Compared to my own arm, it's a little less flexible, but not too rigid. but it would be nice if I could add another arm on the left side to balance it out. Pan Tuo still had more to say. What you think is beautiful, we don't have the Hongmeng Lingbao yet. After Su De finished speaking, he turned his head and licked his face and said, Old Chi, you can refine the Hongmeng Lingbao now. Why don't you help your brother with Tai gold? Let's upgrade the ship. It doesn't take much, just 2 bands. As soon as these words came out, even the indifferent Dragon Emperor showed desire in his eyes. I think so, but if you want to refine the Hongmeng spiritual treasure, you must need the Hongmeng spiritual material. As long as you can get the Hongmeng spiritual material, I promise to help you refine it to the fullest. Hongmeng spiritual material. Su De was dumbfounded when he heard this. They had been in the Shadow Realm before and had a few Hunyuan spiritual materials, but they had never seen Hongmeng spiritual materials. However, the Dragon Emperor's look was a little strange. With a slap on the green gourd on his waist, spiritual light sprayed out, and a black stone flew out. The stones the size of millstones are dotted with silvery spots the size of copper coins. Even without the use of spiritual consciousness, one can sense the extremely thick Hunyuan Zhengjin spiritual energy inside the stone. This should be the Hongmeng spiritual material you mentioned. Su De nodded. The Hongmeng spiritual material contains the divine patterns transformed from the origin of the Great Avenue. With a flick of his finger, a ray of spiritual light penetrated the stone. The originally dim spiritual light suddenly surged, and the Gengjin spiritual energy that had not been elicited soared into the sky. In the thick aura, a mysterious and complex spiritual talisman that seemed to contain the infinite charm of the Gengjin Way shone brightly. It's a pity that our knowledge of Hongmeng spiritual materials is limited, and we don't know the name of your stone. Su De shook his head. Now the only thing everyone knows about the Hongmeng realm is the yellow jade slip that Su Junming got from the demon god Ming Kang. It's a pity that after so many years, it is really difficult to understand the Ken-Yang spirit pattern, and they have not fully understood its contents after so many years. Moreover, the jade slip described very little description of the Hongmeng realm spiritual materials and spiritual roots. Most of them described the Hongmeng scripture of the 3 secret demonic ginseng, heavenly demon scripture. Although it is a magic method, this scripture is indeed the only cultivation method that everyone has obtained that leads to the supreme Dao of Hongmeng. The comprehension of the Hongmeng chapter of the Chongshan scripture played a very good supporting role. It doesn't matter what the name is. The key point is that this is indeed the Hongmeng spiritual material, and it's such a big piece. Su De's eyes lit up, and he stretched out his hand to pick up the stone, and the corners of his mouth were almost drooling. Looked up. Third brother, let's discuss it. With such a large piece of spiritual stone, you will definitely never finish it. How about giving me some of it? I only want a sword. You can do whatever you want with the rest of the spiritual materials, the Dragon Emperor said. The third child is still open. Su De was overjoyed. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1161. Old Chi, you heard me. Quickly take the spiritual materials to refine the treasure. I also want a sword. If that doesn't work, flying needles will do, Su De said excitedly. Su Laowu, Lao San said that the remaining spiritual materials should be shared among everyone, but they didn't say that they would definitely be given to you, Ren Wuji said. Who doesn't want good things? He, Ao Tian, and Chen Xianzang didn't have the Hongmeng Lingbao to hold their own. That's right, Lao Wu, you can't just give things to you. I don't have a lot of treasures here. Ao Tian and Chen Xianzang spoke one after another. The immeasurable calamity is about to begin. If you can have a Hongmeng spiritual treasure on hand, even if it is only of low quality, it will increase your strength dozens of times, or even more. Su De also knew that he couldn't keep good things by himself, so he turned his head and looked at Tiangong Taoist eagerly. Don't look at me. Whether you can refine 4 Hongmeng spiritual treasures or not, you have to wait for me to figure it out before I can make a conclusion. Hearing this, the four of them had to calm down their anxiety. Lao San, where did you get this good thing? Renwuji couldn't help but ask. Everyone was also curious about his answer. This is Hongmeng spiritual material. When I was in the Shadow Realm, in order to avoid Hung Jun's pursuit, I went deep into chaos and accidentally discovered this treasure in a chaos divine stone. Chaos in the Shadow World also has Hongmeng Lingbao. The chaos in the Shadow World is also filled with chaotic spiritual energy. Of course, there will be treasures of heaven and earth that will be transformed, Chen Xianzang said. Su De couldn't help but be envious after nodding. Why don't I have such an opportunity? How can a person who is greedy for money and drunkards have great opportunities? Ren Lao, who are you talking about? He, you know. Young boy Ren. Renwuji was furious. You are still young, the second master has been born much longer than you. Su De straightened his waist and protruded his belly, looking proud. The second master looks better than your father. Roll. Too lazy to listen to their noise, everyone dispersed. Su Junming came to his true body with Taoist Tiangong. The huge two-headed black turtle's body is equivalent to half of a prehistoric man. Although he is not a martial arts monk, the energy and blood in his body exceeds that of many high-level martial saint realm beings. Between the two heads, a 30-grade lotus flower shines brightly. Ever since Su Junming returned the god-killing spear to its origin, turned it into a lotus rod, and replenished the green lotus of creation, it has been regenerated to a new level as its origin has increased. With the power of the god-killing spear, although it only increased the Chaos Jinglian by one level, it also added an additional restriction to it. But it was like the last straw that broke the camel's back, causing Chaos Jinglian to give birth to the 7th Hongmeng restriction, and truly advance to the top-grade Hongmeng spiritual root. Su Junming opened his palms, and the 12-grade golden lotus seemed to be thrown into his arms like a swallow, melting into the vast green lotus like lightning. Next moment, the mighty divine light of creation soared into the sky. In the endless divine brilliance, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. A full 3-grade lotus platform has grown. At the same time, pieces of lotus leaves that looked like the finest emeralds grew out of the true water of chaotic creation. After being integrated into the god-killing spear, the number of pieces increased from 12 to 18 pieces, and this time it increased from 18 pieces to 24 pieces. The lotus roots in Hongmen's true water have also grown from 12 knots after being integrated into the god-killing spear to 18 knots now. The rich divine light of creation expanded rapidly. The shrouded range covers half of the chaos stone ball. The internal space of the chaotic stone ball, which has been repeatedly practiced by Tiangong Taoists, has far exceeded that of the prehistoric world. The prehistoric world is not just the central continent, but also includes the vaster prehistoric starry sky. The analogy between the two sides is probably that of the solar system and the Milky Way. What's more, the inner space of the chaotic stone ball is just void, and its size is above the material world of prehistoric times and mountains. After Su Junming's space path broke through the Hongmeng realm, the space inside the chaotic stone ball also expanded. Although limited by materials, it is impossible to break through quickly, but it is still 100 times that of the prehistoric world. The Chaos Green Lotus can absorb half of the Chaos spiritual energy, which shows how amazing it is. The 8 Dao Hongmeng are banned. All that is left is Rahu's 9th grade Black Lotus. My chaotic green lotus can be restored to perfection and return to its peak. Taoist Tiangong looked excited. Su Junming nodded. Looking at the rapidly condensing Hongmeng true water, he stretched out his hand to grab it, and more than half an acre of spiritual water flew over. Tiangong Taoist's expression changed. My dear, you are robbing me. Anyway, I have also sent you the 12th grade golden lotus. I want you to have some true water of creation. And now the chaos green lotus is one step closer. The speed of condensing true water will be 100 times faster than before. What are you afraid of? Having said that, it's still too much. Tiangong Taoist's face was full of pain. Over the years, he finally accumulated 9 acres of Hongmen's spiritual water, but 1/2 of it was taken away by Su Junming. Su Junming's heart moved, and the cloud energy from Baihui Point spewed out, but in a moment it turned into the size of an acre field. On the Qingyun divided into 12 colors, a gourd vine grows and twists and turns, about 3 feet high. 12 gourds of different colors grow among them, large and small, each different. At the top of the gourd vine, the intersecting leaves and vines resemble an altar, holding a bright bronze mirror and a bronze bagua plate. With a casual movement, Hongmeng created the spiritual water and flew straight towards Qingyun above his head. In an instant, it turned into an infinite rain of spirits flying down. The moment the gourd vines were contaminated by the spiritual rain, the branches swayed, and the 12 gourds were like leaping elves, fully absorbing the spiritual water of Hongmen's creation falling from the sky. Su Junming could clearly sense that the origin of the gourd vine was growing rapidly. However, after all the spiritual water was used up, Calabash vine showed no signs of perfection. Or not. I felt a little disappointed. The innate gourd vine is just the best innate spiritual root. If you want to breed the Hongmeng spiritual treasure, you must absorb the chaotic spiritual energy of the infinite Yuan Hui. Of course, Hongmen's creation of spiritual water can also accelerate its advancement. But the process was much more difficult than Su Junming imagined. After nearly 4 acres of Hongmen's divine creation spirit water was poured down, the gourd vine was still not perfect. But it's soon. He was soul connected with the calabash vine, and he could already feel the thick barrier. Putting away the gourd vine, looking at Taoist Tiangong's frown, he couldn't help but smile. Why have you become a miser like Lao Wu? As long as this chaos green lotus is still there, are you still short of the true water of Hongmeng creation? Having said that, you're using too much. All the achievements he had accumulated over the years were completely consumed. Just as Su Junming was about to speak, the green gourd around his waist burst into light. With a thought in his heart, the light turned into a water mirror, and Fuxi's figure appeared on it. Brother, what do you want from me? Since becoming a Taoist couple with Nuwa, the title of brother-in-law Fuxi has naturally changed. The giant spirit god sent people to find me. He wants me to beg you for mercy and let the giant spirit clansmen captured by you go. There was a pause. I don't have a close relationship with the giant spirit clan. I just had some discussions with a member of their clan several times in my early years and have some friendship. So you don't have to worry about me. Su Junming nodded. Brother, tell them, I can let them go. But if there is another time, it won't be so easy. I will tell them. However, the leader of the giant spirit tribe, the giant spirit god, wants to meet with you. Meet me. Exactly. What did Su Junming originally want to ask? But think about it, let it go. At the critical moment when the immeasurable calamity began, the giant spirit god asked him to meet and talk, most likely about joining forces to seek the prehistoric world. After thinking it through, I was about to refuse, but then I changed my words. Subconsciously, he touched the beard on his chin. This was something he deliberately grew after having a child, which made him look more majestic. After a moment, his eyes fixed and he made a decision in his heart. Brother replied to him that we can meet in person. As for the specific details, I will let the giant spirit tribe member convey it to him, so brother does not have to worry about this matter. That's fine. Fuxi nodded. Have Ching Ching and Ching Kong come out of seclusion? Not yet. With her mother watching over her, nothing will go wrong. Brother, just rest assured. The water mirror dissipated and everything returned to calm. He stretched out his hand to grab it, and the space shattered. Soon, a strong man with a height of thousands of feet, a red face and a curly beard, wearing navy blue leather armor, a majestic figure, and a cultivation level of a high-ranking martial saint appeared in front of him. "I've met true monarch Chongshan." After slightly nodding, "You, the giant spirit god of the giant spirit clan, personally ask someone to plead with me and let you go. I didn't want to agree, but because you and I have no grudges in the past and have no grudges recently, I'll give you a chance." Pan Luo thanks True Lord for not killing me. Although the giant spirit clan all look like reckless men, they are not those guys from the witch clan whose minds have been eroded by evil spirits and only know how to act recklessly and kill. With a wave of his left hand, a jade tablet fell into the opponent's hand. "You give this jade tablet to the giant spirit god and say that I agreed to meet him." Subconsciously taking advantage of it, after a brief look, he quickly agreed. "Go ahead." The Panluo finger technique rolled up his body with an unimaginable force and flew backwards like lightning. In just a few moments, the huge power disappeared. He stood up awkwardly, and then realized that the trapped energy and blood in his body had been restored. Looking around, there is nothing superfluous except for the violent energy of chaos. Surprised by Su Junming's great power, he gathered his thoughts and quickly flew towards the world of giant spirits. In the Chaos Stone Ball, Tiangong Taoist put away the space barrier and looked at Su Junming. Most of the time the giant spirit god met to express his intention to join forces, which is contrary to our decision to sit on the sidelines. "Why did you agree to meet with him? Isn't it a waste of time?" After experiencing the incident of recruiting Zunti, whether it is Sanking, Hung Jun, or even the Sheni and Taishu humans who are hiding aside and not showing their faces, most of them have regarded us as behind-the-scenes players meddling in the prehistoric era. Our purpose has been exposed. "So you plan to strike first?" No. Su Junming shook his head. "The first thing I do is make wedding clothes for others. I'm not that stupid. But our ultimate goal is to obtain Hung Jun's jade plate of creation, and secondly to obtain Pangu's inheritance. To complete these, we must overcome Hung Jun, Shen Ni, the Earth Emperor clan and the Human Emperor clan, as well as the giant spirit god, the obstacle of respect. Of course, there are still some existences that are hidden behind the scenes so far, such as Rahu and the like. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1162. Chapter 1141, Giant Spirit God, Pangu Inheritance. Hearing this, he looked at Su Junming's expression. Tiangong Taoist, who had known him well for many years, came to think about it. "Do you plan to eliminate the giant spirit god first?" After nodding with a smile, "The reason why the giant spirit clan dared to intervene in the great desolate world is simply because they have a Hongmeng spiritual treasure in their hands, and there are two Hunyuan golden immortal level existences in the clan, the giant spirit god and the old woman Wuzu. That's all. But for us, although these are threats, they are not difficult. It is better to find opportunities to eliminate them first. This will only make Hung Jun, Sheni, Daihuang clan, and Renhuang clan more wary of us," Tiangong Taoist said. "Just be vigilant. After all, they don't know our real details. And I have been exposed. If I hide it any longer, it will only make them more vigilant. It is better to expose me proactively, which will hide your existence. The truth is the truth is the kingly way," Su Junming said. Tiangong Taoist nodded after pondering for a moment. "The giant spirit god's cultivation level is no worse than yours, and he has the help of important treasures. Are you sure you can subdue him? The power of the supreme saint of martial arts is indeed powerful, and coupled with the killing treasure, the combat effectiveness is indeed shocking. However, I don't need him to be inferior." Su Junming's face showed strong confidence. His martial arts has also reached its peak. When it comes to spiritual treasures, even if there is no Dian Divine Mirror and Chaos Green Lotus, there is also the Destruction Giant Arm and Chaos Pearl. Unfortunately, the Chaos Bell he discovered earlier in the earthly immortal realm was not the real Chaos Bell, but the Donghuang bell modeled after the chaos bell practiced by Donghuang Tai. The power is considered to be the best among many Donghuang bells, ranking among the top grade Hunyuan Lingbao, but unfortunately it is not as good as the real chaos bell. Otherwise, Su Junming has another choice. After making up his mind, he quickly found Pan Tuo and asked for the arm of destruction. After some sacrifices, the giant spirit god activated the jade talisman he sent over. As soon as he patted the gourd on his waist, spiritual light sprayed out, and a water mirror appeared in front of him. In the mirror is a burly man wearing pale golden armor, with a lion's nose and a wide mouth. The crown is embossed with exotic beasts, shining brightly. A bronze scepter in his hand was engraved with a 9-clawed golden dragon, with its huge dragon head spread out, ferocious and domineering. The entire scepter looks solid and heavy. Of course, at this time, Su Junming's appearance also appeared in front of the giant spirit god. A green Taoist robe was tied around the waist with a gold rope, and a green gourd 1 foot 3 inches in size hung down. Her hair is tied up with a golden ring and hangs down on the back of her head without a crown. Her angular face has a calm expression, her short black beard exudes a hint of majesty. The deep eyes are like a bottomless pool, making it impossible to see through. A 9-section bamboo stick, green and green, as thick as a thumb, exudes a light blue aura. The two stared at each other for a moment. I've heard about the name of the deity for a long time, but I didn't expect to see him today. I'm so lucky. True Lord Chongshan, the first person to achieve the holy status in the Middle Ages. I have heard of your name in the chaos. I am very lucky to see you today. After the two handed each other over. I wonder why the god asked me to meet. Su Junming got straight to the point. I wonder if fellow Taoist Su has ever heard of the Pangu heritage. Your Majesty, you should know that I only became enlightened in the Middle Ages and don't know much about such secret things. Of course the giant spirit god lord didn't believe his words. If he really didn't know, how could he always be lurking around the prehistoric world? But he didn't intend to expose it either. Father God Pangu originally wanted to open up the true world of Hongmeng and prove it as the master of the world. Unfortunately, the demonic tribulation was too severe. Although he killed 3,000 gods and demons, he still fell in the 365th level of the Hongmeng world to open up the catastrophe. But although Father God failed, he could not bear the prehistoric world to sink, so he left a legacy in the world, which included the cultivation techniques of the Hongmeng realm and the secrets deep in the chaos. But I want to get this precious inheritance, you have to become the master of the prehistoric world. This is also the reason why the tribes fought in the early prehistoric, ancient times. Pangu's inheritance involves secrets. How could it be spread and everyone knows about it? Su Junming asked. Of course it is the inheritance of heaven. Heavenly inheritance. When the tribes descended from Pangu in the prehistoric times have more than 100 million members, they will get inspiration from the way of heaven. Su Junming suddenly realized that emotions are passively triggered. He quickly frowned again. No, why didn't the human race receive the revelation of heaven in the medieval times? If there was such a revelation, Fuxi would have told him. After the Lich War, Hung Jun's control over the way of heaven has deepened. It is inevitable that another competitor will appear. Of course, he will be eclipsed by him. Su Junming's expression solidified. Does he really not know this? Impossible. If so, how could he hide in the dark and watch with eager eyes? After clearing up the mood. So, the reason why the God Lord wants to meet me is for the two families to join forces. That's right. Fellow Taoists may not know that the Desolate Beast clan, the Taishu human clan, as well as the Winged clan, Soul clan, Scorpion clan, Snake Man clan, Ape clan, Earth Dragon clan, etc., who were expelled from the wilderness in the Taishu era, are all returning. They are recuperating in the chaos with nearly 100 Yuan Hui, and there are more than a dozen Hunyuan golden immortals in the clan, who are powerful. And in order to completely defeat Hung Jun, who controls the ancient way of heaven, all clans have joined forces. If you and I fight alone, we will definitely not be their opponents. Only by joining forces can we have a chance to win the Pangu inheritance. Since all the clans are joining forces, why don't the gods join us and throw themselves in? The giant spirit god smiled coldly. We, the giant spirit clan, have been an ally of the human race since ancient times, fighting against the desolate beast clan. They used us as the vanguard, but we hid behind. If it weren't for the strength of our giant spirit clan, only I'm afraid that it has already been nirvana in the dust of the primordial era. We, the giant spirits, will never make such a mistake again. Obviously, the experience of being cannon fodder has always stung the nerves of the giant spirit god. I already know the Lord's intention. But I don't know how the Lord plans to join forces with me. Naturally, the two families become one, advancing and retreating together. If that's the case, who is the primary and who is secondary? Of course whoever is stronger will dominate. The giant spirit god who emerged from the bloody turmoil in the early days and had strong martial arts believed in force. Su Junming smiled calmly. The Divine Lord is indeed direct. I also agree, whoever is stronger will make the decision. However, if the Divine Lord loses, the giant spirit world may be integrated into my Chongshan world. What if I win? The world of Chongshan merges into the world of giant spirits. Haha, it's a deal. The giant spirit god looked confident. It's a deal, Su Junming continued with a smile. If someone sees through the secrets of our fight, please ask the gods to move the world of giant spirits to the depths of chaos. He frowned slightly. Why bother? And if you leave the world of giant spirits and want to enter the prehistoric world, you have to come back again. Wouldn't it be a waste of time? The Lord of Gods may have forgotten that I am proficient in the art of space. No matter how far away I am, I can come back at any time as long as there is a sign from the ancient world. The giant spirit god suddenly realized, I forgot about this. That's fine. It's just as you said. I am waiting for the arrival of the god in the depths of chaos. Wait, where should I go? Chaos is vast and boundless, and the chaotic aura is extremely violent. If you go too deep, you will easily lose your way. The jade talisman in the hands of the deity will naturally guide you in the direction. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Junming disappeared, and a palm-sized cyan jade talisman slowly fell into the hands of the giant spirit god. In the magnificent giant spirit temple, the giant spirit god is sitting high on the throne, accompanied by Wuzhu and dozens of Hunyuan beings from the giant spirit tribe below, sitting cross-legged. God Lord, this is a bit reckless. What should we do if we fail? Is it really like what Su Junming said, to let the giant spirit world merge into his mountain world? Wuzhu, don't worry. With my magic soldiers here, even Shen and I, the Daihuang clan, the human Huang clan, and Hung Jun may not be opponents, let alone a junior who became enlightened in the medieval era. Su Junming's space Dao is wonderful and wonderful. The Lord of God must not be careless, Wuzhu continued. The face of the giant spirit god changed slightly, and he pondered for a moment. Since I returned to the prehistoric times, I have been paying attention to the so-called saint sects such as Renji Chan, Western Sect, and Chongshan Academy. Renji Chan and Western Sect are just the same. Hung Jun's disciples are all the same. But Chongshan Academy is different. The teachings of seeking truth from facts, investigating things to gain knowledge, and equality of all living beings are unheard of even in the Jambudvi realm. And that's what they did. Regardless of whether they are witches or monsters, as long as they are kind people, they will treat them equally. Being affiliated with such a sect is a good choice for us. Wu Zhu's expression changed. What does the Lord God mean? Don't the humans say, consider defeat before winning? If I lose, it means that we, the giant spirit clan, are out of the race for Pangu's inheritance. Lord God, Even if we lose, we can leave the giant spirit world with us. There is no need to praise Kongshan's stinky feet, a high-ranking martial saint from the giant spirit clan said. We can indeed leave. But if we leave, we will completely lose the opportunity to obtain Pangu's inheritance. If we miss this opportunity, we, the giant spirit clan, will lose the hope of stabilizing Hongmeng. Are you willing to spend your whole life in the Hunyuan realm? Is it a waste of time? The cultivators fell silent. When they were traveling in the chaos, they had seen the vastness of the town and the power of Hongmeng Shangzun. Although they also know that with their own qualifications, even if they know how to practice, they may not be able to break through Hongmeng. But having a chance to break through and not seeing the opportunity are definitely two different things. Only when you see hope can you be motivated. If there is no hope, one will soon sink into pleasure and become completely depraved. If we join Chongshan, will they tell us the way to Hongmeng? Definitely will. The giant spirit god said it categorically. In the eyes of the cultivators filled with questions, he spread his palms. A side of pale golden curls emerged, and a powerful aura of cause and effect spread. Wu Zhu next to him was shaken and blurted out. The Great Law Order. Yes, although this great law does not enter Hongmeng, it is enough to restrain Hunyuan Golden Immortal. As long as you sign it, you are not afraid of Su Junming not abiding by the rules. Seeing this, the practitioners were really relieved. The law of the Great Dao is a divine object refined by practitioners of the Great Path of Cause and Effect, which can restrain all living beings. Once both parties violate it after signing it, inner demons will arise. Don't even think about successfully overcoming the tribulation if you are restrained by inner demons. Therefore, no one can violate the laws of the Great Way unless he completely abandons the way. After the giant spirit tribe negotiated and passed the resolution of the giant spirit god, they began to move the world and flew towards the depths of chaos pointed by the spiritual talisman. Already the center of attention, this movement attracted even more attention. Thanks to the book friend passenger Gen Xin Rongui for the reward of 100 starting coins. Thank you very much. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1163. Chapter 1142, Laws of Heaven, Fighting with Giant Spirits. Staring at the distant Hunyuan world of giant spirits in the water mirror, Renhuang frowned. What did the giant spirit guy want to do? How did he leave? Has he given up on fighting for the Pangu inheritance? Dai Huang thought for a moment and slowly shook his head. The giant spirits are also our former dependents. They are a group of tough guys. They will never give up on their goals until they are defeated. The human emperor nodded. Then why did he retreat? Mostly because we and Shen and I have already arrived. We are afraid that if we get too close, we will be eliminated by the two families first, so we retreat first. He paused for a moment and narrowed his eyes slightly. It's also possible that he saw Su Junming's strength and wanted to join forces with him. The human emperor was slightly startled, then nodded. I didn't take this so-called saint seriously before, but looking at his previous actions, it is obvious that he has extraordinary strength. And he can cultivate the space Dao to such a state. Just because he is a descendant who became enlightened in the medieval era, he will never have this kind of ability. Talent. Do you doubt Yang Mei? Dai Huang said. After nodding slightly. Back then in the Jambu realm, Deluo Shangzun's three-step Taoist method only severely injured him, but he did not die. If Yang Mei is behind us, then Kongshan's strength will be worthy of our vigilance. You also miss the giant spirit god, Dai Huang said in a serious voice. The giant spirit will never retreat without any reason. It must have reached an agreement with Su Junming or Yang Mei to join forces. The Renhuang clan has also experienced many trials and tribulations and understands that this possibility is very high. It looks like we have another strong competitor. As soon as he finished speaking, a jade talisman suddenly flew out. The two looked at each other, and Dai Huang pointed slightly. The image of divine rebellion emerged. Two fellow Taoists, it's time for us to meet and talk. That's fine. After agreeing on the meeting address, he waved and put away the jade charm. It seems that Shen Ni is also anxious. Ren Huangshi nodded. He is not stupid. Of course he knows how powerful Yang Mei is. 50 yuan hui ago, he could resist Deluo Shangzun's 3 Taoist techniques without dying. Now he is definitely stronger. Suddenly, the image of the manifested giant spirit world disappeared in mid-air. The two of them were stunned for a moment, and then their expressions darkened. In the vast chaos, due to the weakening effect of the violent chaotic aura on spiritual consciousness, the water mirror technique cannot see very far without the assistance of heavy treasures. The disappearance of the screen at this moment meant that the disciple they sent out to monitor the world of giant spirits was killed or captured. It seems that the giant spirit god has made up his mind to become our enemy. Ren Huang's tone was cold. Pity. In the Taishu era, the giant spirits were vassals of the Taishu human race. They charged forward and used their powerful martial arts to repeatedly kill powerful enemies. Without their help, the Taishu human race would have suffered even more heavy losses. It's no pity. Even without the giant spirit clan, our current strength is enough to win the prehistoric world. The human emperor's tone was full of confidence. After smiling and nodding, Dai Huang stood up. Let's go, our opponent moves frequently, and we can't always watch. It's time to discuss countermeasures with Shen Ni. Ren Huang nodded and stood up. There was a flash of light and the figure disappeared. Su Junming used the guidance of the Chongshan world and the promotion of the giant spirit god, and the giant spirit Hunyuan world quickly emerged from the chaos in the prehistoric world. And it flew farther and farther, gradually disappearing. Those Hunyuan from all races who were responsible for tracking just wanted to follow him and monitor him. But unexpectedly, a powerful azure spatial spiritual light flashed through, and before he could escape, he was captured in one piece. Gradually, the figure of Su Junming, who was wearing a green Taoist robe, gradually solidified. He activated the Dian Divine Mirror to look at the surroundings for billions of miles, and after finding no other tails, he chased after the giant spirit world. Chaos is vast, except for the occasional chaos divine stone, almost nothing else can be seen. Su Junming has been in chaos for a long time and has become accustomed to this scene. Soon, the green gourd on his waist lit up. With a thought in his heart, the figure of the giant spirit god appeared. Fellow Taoist Su, I have taken the giant spirit world deep into the chaos as you said. If it is possible, would I stop? Stop. I am waiting for the arrival of the god in the chaos. Su Junming looked at the pale red world in the distance and smiled. Hold on. Not long after, dozens of spiritual lights flew from the light red giant spirit world. The front one is the most powerful. The magnificent chi and blood are like the blazing sun in the 9 heavens. Even though they are far away, a scorching heat is coming towards them. Shua. Wearing a pale golden robe and holding a dragon-headed scepter, the giant spirit god came to Su Junming from a distance of hundreds of thousands of feet. Dozens of spiritual lights from behind fell down at the same time, revealing a powerful figure that was 1,000 feet tall, or several thousand feet tall. Although it could not be activated, streams of extremely powerful energy and blood rose into the sky like wolf smoke. The powerful Xiang Qi made the surrounding chaos seem to fall into a furnace. After sizing each other up, Su Junming bowed his hands. Honored God, I have long admired your name. The giant spirit god returned the gift with his hand. Fellow Taoist, are you here alone? Since this is a fight between me and my Taoist friends, I am enough. After the giant spirit god nodded, his eyes shined directly on Su Junming. My fellow Taoist is brave, and the giant spirit admires it. But before the fight, does the giant spirit have anything else to ask? Shenzundan said it doesn't matter. How dare you ask, friend, how do you plan to inherit the ancient Pangu inheritance? Smile calmly. There is no covenant between you and me. I shouldn't tell you such confidential things. But to show my sincerity, it doesn't hurt to tell the god. There was a pause. Hibernating and waiting to see what happens. Seeing Su Junming speechless for a while, he couldn't help but be surprised. Gone. Gone. He is not stupid, how could he really reveal all his trump cards? Fellow Taoist, don't you think it's a bit childish? Or do you mean you don't trust me, Pantheon? Pantheon is the name of the giant spirit god. But apart from himself, few people know. Fellow Taoist has misunderstood. There is no trust or distrust. Hiding and waiting is indeed my fundamental strategy in Chongshan. The Desolate Beast clan and the Taishu human clan are not stupid, they will not leave their strength behind to be vigilant. Be vigilant, but when it comes to a fierce battle, if they can't find us, I'm afraid they won't be able to make a choice. The giant spirit god frowned. Chongshan world was indeed well hidden. Until now, none of the giant spirit clan has been able to discover the exact location of the other party. Aren't you afraid that they will put aside their disputes and start cleaning up your Chongshan Academy? Let's wait until they find me first. After a pause, he looked directly at the giant spirit god. Rather than dwell on this, it's better for you and me to decide the winner first. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time to be secretive. That's fine. The giant spirit god waved his hand, and a gold medal with bright spiritual light flew out. The strong aura of cause and effect made Su Junming understand instantly. The law of heaven. Since fellow Taoist knows, it saves me a lot of talking. Fellow Taoist Su, before the fight, you and I need to sign this law of heaven. How do fellow Taoists want to sign? As you said before, if I lose, my giant spirit world will merge into your Chongshan world, and my giant spirit clan will advance and retreat with your Chongshan Academy. On the contrary, your Chongshan world will merge into my giant spirit world, and Chongshan Academy will be with you. We, the giant spirits, fight side by side. Besides, no matter whether you or I win or lose, I have to share the Pangu inheritance selflessly with the other party. In the end, no matter whether we win or lose, you and I must not treat each other's disciples as pioneers, and we must advance and retreat together. 3 things like these, if fellow Taoists agree and sign the law of heaven, you and I will fight. If we don't agree, the fight will be abandoned, and you and I will go our separate ways and use our own methods. Su Junming thought about it briefly and then agreed. Just like fellow Taoists said. Happy. Shaking the golden list in his hand, the scroll with brilliant golden light unfolded instantly. Please. Please. The two of them used their spiritual consciousness as a pen to write down the contents of their previous agreement. The moment the real name was finally dropped, the golden list instantly turned into a ball of golden blazing sun, and then split into 2, submerging into the sea of consciousness of Su Junming and the giant spirit god respectively. A feeling of restraint appeared in Su Junming's heart. However, he clearly felt that this kind of power was very weak compared to his own soul. He could easily erase it if he wanted to. This is normal. The heavenly law of the giant spirit god can restrain the Hunyuan golden immortal, but Su Junming's soul Dao has already broken through the Hongmeng realm. The gap is too big to be restrained at all. But in order to reassure the giant spirit god, he did not break free from this restraint. This place is too close to the world of giant spirits, which will cause unnecessary damage. It's better for you and me to stay farther away. The giant spirit god nodded. The two of them jumped up and flew towards the depths of chaos. Hundreds of millions of miles have passed in the blink of an eye. The martial saints of the giant spirit tribe did not follow. The Hunyuan golden immortal level fighting skills are enough to influence hundreds of billions of miles, or even wider. The aftermath of the fight is extremely powerful, and if you are too close, you will be easily injured. Just here. After estimating that it was far enough away, the giant spirit god stopped to escape. Su Junming also stopped. After looking around for a moment, he nodded. As soon as each other's eyes met, invisible sparks instantly became intense. The breath flowed, and the surrounding chaotic aura was instantly dispersed by the violent force. Boom! The billowing energy and blood rose into the sky, like a huge pillar of fire, exuding its own heat and ferocity without any scruples. With the powerful energy and blood, the light golden robe on the giant spirit god instantly turned into a dark golden half-armor. His thick arms clenched the dragon-headed staff in his hand, and an astonishing evil force surged towards Su Junming. Facing the pressure of the giant spirit god, the fighting spirit in Su Junming's eyes became more and more intense. For the first time in many years, he met someone who could evenly compete with him in martial arts. Forget it, let's have a crazy fight first. With his mind set, the blue robe on his body changed instantly. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 1164. A pair of mango shoes turned into walking shoes, the soft hem turned into a blue skirt, a faint pattern appeared on the chest, the shoulders were swallowed by lions, and the back collar turned up and turned into a helmet. Stretching out his right hand, the martial arts gourd flew out from his dantian. In a flash of light, it turned into a bronze Zangba spear. Staring at Su Junming, who was wearing armor and holding a spear, a look of astonishment appeared on the face of the giant spirit god. This doesn't look like the attire a chi practitioner should have. Is he still planning to compete with me in combat? An idea that seemed absurd to him arose from the bottom of his heart. Not only him, but also the giant spirit tribe martial saints who were watching the battle from a distance had the same thoughts. Seeing the astonishment of the giant spirit god, Su Junming smiled calmly, and with a move in his heart, he removed the space barrier around him. Boom! The hot masculine blood surges out like a volcano erupting. The extremely tyrannical momentum and ferocious energy directly collided with the evil energy pressed by the giant spirit god. Boom boom boom. The thunderous sound was like a barrage of cannons, shaking hundreds of millions of miles of chaos. The giant spirit god was stunned, his face full of disbelief. If there weren't countless tribesmen watching the battle not far away, he would have slapped himself twice on the face to see if he had fallen into Su Junming's illusion. Are you, really Su Junming? Replacement guaranteed. But isn't your Taoism the Huishan Tao? Haha, who stipulates that chi refining and body refining cannot be practiced at the same time? If I remember correctly, isn't the great god Pangu also the supreme saint whose body and Taoist tools are the top of Hunyuan golden immortal? Although I really wanted to say, how can you compare with the great god Pangu, but looking at Su Junming, who was in front of him with so much vitality and blood that he was no worse than himself, his heart became complicated. The two masters of martial arts have reached the pinnacle of Hunyuan at the same time. The opponent is indeed qualified to stand shoulder to shoulder with the great god Pangu. A trace of frustration, accompanied by heavy pressure, appeared inexplicably in the heart of the giant spirit god. Su Junming's strength far exceeded his previous expectations. No, it doesn't matter if you reach the pinnacle of both martial arts and martial arts. I still have the artifact that I haven't used yet. How can you be my opponent? Thinking of this, I took a deep breath and calmed my mind. Fellow Taoist Su's talent is so high that Pan Tian admires him. Since you and I both practice martial arts, let's have a good fight this time. It's my wish, but I don't dare to ask for my ear. They looked at each other and each of them gave a low shout. The already huge body expanded at the same time. But in an instant, the two of them had transformed into a martial arts true body measuring 120 million feet. Huge body, surging chi and blood boiling like the sea, extremely domineering momentum, and ferocious evil aura. Everything made both sides look like giants coming out of the depths of chaos. Their overwhelming power, sweeping everything and suppressing the world, was far beyond the ability of chi refiners. Eyes the size of planets shine straight through chaos. Suddenly, the two people confronting each other started to move at the same time. Boom! Taking long strides, Su Junming raised his spear backwards, and the giant spirit god held his dragon staff horizontally and rushed forward. The huge bodies were like two ancient savage beasts, killing each other ferociously. Hey! The spear swept across, as if it was lifting the Optimus pillar. Ha! The flying dragon staff is like a purple golden beam that collapsed across the sea. Guns and sticks meet. Clang! The violent clash of gold and iron shook the boundless chaos. The violent impact turned the chaotic energy within billions of miles into earth, water, wind, and fire. After one move, no one gave in. With a flash of the spear, the cold light flickered, and tens of thousands of pear blossoms appeared. The dragon staff swept across, like hundreds of millions of dragons and snakes spitting out messages. Clang clang clang. The violent chirping of gold and iron became faster and faster, gradually becoming one. The two of them fought faster and faster, like two huge balls of light. One bronze, one light gold. They are like two huge tops, colliding fiercely and strangulating crazily. Round after round of Dofa Chi, the Chaos Chi was swaying crazily, like a big undulating wave, rapidly extending to the surroundings. The violent power forced the surrounding giant spirit tribesmen who were watching the battle to retreat continuously. The crazy fighting shocked their nerves. The true lord of Chongshan, Su Junming, is actually a master of both martial arts and Taoism. Although the facts are there, they are still deeply shocked. They have never seen anyone who can practice martial arts and chi refining at the same time to reach the realm of Hunyuan Golden Immortal. It should be noted that they also practiced in the Jambit V realm for a period of time. In this huge world with Hongmeng at its command, which is 10,000 times larger than the prehistoric world, I have never heard of anyone who can practice martial arts and chi refining at the same time to such a level. Of course Pangu is an exception, but no one thinks Su Junming can compare with this strong man who almost opened up a Hongmeng world directly. Now, as much as they respect the great god Pangu, they are shocked by Su Junming. Bang! After the sound of gold and iron clashing, which was more shocking than the creation of the world, Su Junming and the giant spirit god took a dozen steps back at the same time. The sharp and evil eyes faced each other, neither giving in to the other. With an angry roar, the giant spirit god shook his body, two heads grew out from the back of his neck, and 4 arms grew out from his ribs. The scepter in his hand also turned into 3. Hey, 3 heads and 6 arms. I can do it too. He shook his body and transformed into the same body with 3 heads and 6 arms, and walked up. Bang bang. The violent roar became more intense. The chaotic energy within tens of billions of miles in radius was completely twisted into earth, water, wind, and fire by the tilted energy of the two, and then was beaten into nothingness. After another fierce collision, the giant spirit god roared angrily, and his body surged again. The energy and blood in the body also collided, and each move became more powerful. The law of heaven is like the earth. Activating his natal magical power, Su Junming's physical body also expanded. 200 million feet, 300 million feet, 1 billion feet, 10 billion feet. The bodies of the two of them are getting bigger and bigger, and whether it is Su Junming's spear or Pan Tuo's dragon-headed staff, they have turned into gods holding the sky. With a casual sweep, the energy of chaos will disappear, followed by earth, water, wind, and fire. The powerful power is simply shocking. The movements of the fighting became more and more powerful, and the giant spirit tribesmen watching the battle around them had shocked faces and retreated crazily. Looking from a distance, he looked at the giant who was holding up the chaos and almost bigger than the ordinary low-grade Hunyuan world. The shock in the hearts of the giant spirit clansmen cannot be described in words. Patriarch Pantheon has always been a godlike existence in their hearts. From the beginning to the present, except for those beings in charge of Hongmeng Lingbao who can compete with the powerful fighting power, there are few opponents in the same realm. Even the overlord of the Jamfu True Realm, the Jamfu Grand Sect, planned to accept him as a disciple. If he didn't care about his clan members and didn't want to be driven by others, even if he hadn't achieved Hongmeng now, he would still be close. Such a being actually encountered an evenly matched opponent in an increasingly impoverished world today. After a fierce fight, Pantheon took advantage of the situation and retreated. Staring at the opposite side, the spear was held upside down, shrouded in the energy of chaos, and the blood was soaring to the sky, like an ancient god and demon. He admitted that Su Junming's martial arts cultivation, whether it was energy or fighting skills, was not inferior to his. Although he couldn't believe it, it was hard to change this ironclad fact. Fellow Taoist Su, I didn't expect your martial arts cultivation to be so powerful. If not, how dare you come to provoke fellow Taoists? Su Junming smiled. The fierce fighting just now made him feel extremely comfortable. It's been a long time since I've fought so freely. Fellow Taoist Su is powerful and has extraordinary qualifications. But if you want to subdue me like this, it is impossible. Fellow Taoist, please use whatever means you have. The giant spirit god nodded slightly, then I won't be polite. The pan-long staff in his right hand flew into the hands behind him. The spiritual light gathered in the empty palm, and gradually, an ancient long knife emerged. This long knife is dark red in color as a whole, with mysterious divine patterns engraved on its surface. The handle is a prototype, and the head of a strange beast is embossed on the back. Overall, the shape looks like a ghost-headed sword magnified hundreds of millions of times. The moment this knife appeared, a powerful flame aura, mixed with endless evil aura, came overwhelmingly. Obviously, this is a supreme weapon that is trained with the spiritual materials of the way of fire. Holding the knife in his hand, the giant spirit god caressed the back of the knife lovingly. This sword is called the Fire Demon. I got it from a hidden place in the Jambuddha world. It has never been used in front of others. Today, fellow Taoist is its first enemy. So, wouldn't I be honored? It is indeed an honor for fellow Taoist Su to be defeated by this sword. At least this defeat is not due to fellow Taoist's insufficient cultivation, but to the disadvantage of the magical weapon. His dignity is intact, shouldn't he be happy? Haha, fellow Taoist, you are wrong. Although your fire demon sword is powerful and is a Hongmeng spiritual treasure, it will be very difficult to defeat me with it. With a thought in his heart, a cyan right arm glowing with glazed light grew out from under his ribs. This was obviously different from the existence of other arms, and it instantly attracted the attention of the giant spirit god. His face changed suddenly. Hongmeng Lingbao. My arm is called Destruction. It is similar to fellow Taoist's fire demon sword. It also has two restrictions. This is the first time it has faced an enemy. The expression of the giant spirit god became complicated. Staring at the opponent opposite him, he never thought that the opponent also had Hongmeng Lingbao. Fellow Taoist, is I really from the ancient times? Natural. Born and raised here, it's as good as fake, Su Junming said with a smile. Subconsciously, he clenched the giant sword in his hand, and his previous determination to win began to waver. He held the biggest trump card, but it was offset by the opponent, who had not yet used his space magic power. Is fellow Taoist planning to admit defeat? There's absolutely no chance. After shaking his head firmly, the giant spirit god activated the energy and blood in his body and suddenly raised the giant knife in his hand. Fellow Taoist Su, someone is here. Kill. With a loud shout, the fire demon sword struck with lightning. A simple move, but it bursts out with endless power. In an instant, the flame's spiritual energy surged, like the Yangtze River rushing forward. The crushed chaotic spiritual energy was absorbed and refined by it, and its power increased even more. Staring at the giant flaming sword that was heading straight towards him, Su Junming exhaled loudly, and spread out the palms of his giant arm of destruction under his ribs, as straight as a sword. Thanks to Book Friends Clan, Memories, and Jianghu Renchen Gongbeo for each 1,500 starting coins for the reward. Thank you very much.